play and call it work. MiniWarGaming's Reign of Chaos.
MiniWarGaming Dave here from MiniWarGaming.com. Here with Josh.
Hello.
Welcome Wargamers Reign of Chaos. In this video we're going to be talking about a 2,000 point Black Legion list. It's an all-comers list led by Abaddon, the Despoiler.
Right.
And
with his new rules.
With his new rules, yeah. New points, new rules. This is taken from this codex. I'll just show you. I'm going to show you because of possible updates in the future. Just so you know what book we're grabbing it from. Kind of a informal video, but we encourage you to jump on in the discussion. We're also going to do a second list, which will be in the vault, so click on the link in the video description below to hop on and participate in that discussion. Completely different list from the first one. Let's dive right in. And here's the list. What you're looking at right now is a battalion detachment. Abaddon, the Despoiler, is Warlord, and he also has a companion, just a regular Chaos Lord, because we wanted, he needs 2 HQs for the battalion, and we just wanted to help out a little bit. We wanted to go Black Legion themed. There's no Psychers in the list. Nothing is spammed particularly. This is a all-comers list.
Just a relatively simple, well-rounded list.
Yeah, there's nothing overly complicated about it.
Yep.
So we're going to zoom into some units and discuss the war gear options that we've chosen. Taking a look at my custom Abaddon. Thanks, Lee, for making him for me. He's on the right, and he's the warlord in this army. As per the new book, he has a points change. It is 240 points for him. That includes all of his war gear. Chaos Lord beside him, he has a plasma pistol upgrade, and he has the Eye of Night, which is an artifact of chaos. And it says once per battle, what you can do is, instead of shooting with his regular weapon, you choose any visible unit on the battlefield, so it has unlimited range as long as you can see it. And you roll a die, and on a 2+, that unit has to be a vehicle unit, and that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, what do you think about this HQ, Josh?
I mean, relatively simple. The idea is Abaddon's obviously there to be the big scary character and do most of the legwork. The Chaos Lord's your cheap character. We gave him a plasma pistol just because we had some leftover points. But his job is to hang out in the back with some of the shooty squads and allow them to reroll ones to hit.
I think with this list, it's best that he hangs out with the Predators.
Yeah, ideally the Predators are going to be in a little car park together somewhere. They're going to be, he's going to be within 6 of both of them. That's pretty easy. You can spread them out a bit, get some good avenues of fire, and really do some damage. The nice thing about the current rules for 8th edition is vehicles, and when it comes to facing, as well as line of sight for the weapons, as long as you have part of your vehicle able to see part of something else, it can shoot with everything.
That is wonderful.
So it does help a lot with positioning. So a little support character like that, he's a mandatory tax for the battalion, and he can definitely, given those last cannons the rerolling 1s, they're already hitting on 3s, it's pretty good.
Speaking of the heavy support here, we have 3 heavy support choices, 2 Laspreds and 1 Defiler. The points for the Laspreds are 190 each, because they are 90, plus the twin last cannon and the 2 last cannons on the sides, which brings it to 190, and we have that duplicated. We have 2 of those. And then for the Defiler, he's 152 to start, and then he's equipped with the Defiler Scourge. Battle cannon's free, his Defiler claws are free, but he's got a Reaper autocannon for 15 points for a total of 179. Much cheaper than before.
Yeah, substantially cheaper.
Now, had I had 3 Predators, I would have brought the 3rd one, because I wanted to unlock the stratagem, the kill shot.
Kill shot's amazing. It's just the threat of it is what's there. And people have talked about, it doesn't take that much to really, put some damage onto a Predator, but you have to fully kill at least one of them to not have the kill shot take effect.
For those of us who don't know what kill shot is, it basically says that when a Predator is within 6 inches of 2 other Predators, you can add 1 to the wound and damage rolls for the Predator's attacks against monsters or vehicles. So that's pretty good, especially against vehicles in your enemy
Right.
roster.
I think in the current meta, you see there's going to be some kind of las cannon boat or something sitting somewhere, some big scary vehicle, and that's your way to deal with it. They're just good, cheap ways to bring 4 las cannons that are fairly resilient.
Now, what are your thoughts on bringing a Havoc squad? Let's say you have 4 las cannons in a Havoc squad, because that's essentially the same amount of dice that you're rolling, versus 1 Predator. What's the advantage?
Well, okay, so the big advantage if we were to go the route of Havocs is the fact that las cannons don't work that well against Havocs.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at, could one Havoc squad wipe out one of these Predators in a turn? Yeah, no problem. Could one of these Predators wipe out a Havoc squad? No.
5-man?
Well, I mean, with the 5-man, if you roll everything really nice, you're going to kill probably a couple of them, but it still doesn't wipe the squad out. But you're not going to bring a 5-man Havoc squad. You're going to bring like an 8 or 10-man.
Yeah. I like the number 8, not just because it's corn, but because, and it was your suggestion, I will say that, because normally I bring like 10, but 8 seems to be good because then the extra 2 that I would have normally put seems a little redundant.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need them. I mean, it makes the squad a little bit cheaper. It makes the squad easier to hide and cover. And I'd rather have a squad that has, 3 ablative wounds and a 2-up save from hiding and cover than to just have 2 extra wounds and a 3-up save.
Just focusing in on the Defiler now. Defi, where do you think he should start on the battlefield?
I think Defiler, it's entirely dependent on what your opponent's bringing. So if he's got some stuff that might deep strike in to deal with those Predators, I'd probably hold him back closer to the Predators to deal with whatever deep striking nonsense is going to happen.
That's true, I like that.
But in a different list where they're not going to have any capability to bring reserves in to mess with your Preds, I'd send him up the board, be more aggressive with them. So the nice thing with the Defiler is, yeah, he's got good mid to long range firepower, good enough. The Scourge is scary in close combat. He's got an 8-inch move, which is enough of a move. He's well rounded. He can respond to whatever threats that you need. So I probably would be dropping him later during deployment and just kind of trying to counter what my opponent's trying to do.
Whenever I've fielded him in this new edition, he's certainly always one of the last units that I place on the battlefield, just because of his versatility. And I do like the idea of protecting the Predators from possible deep striking units. I think there's also another option of protecting him and them with some cultists that we have in this list. Just kind of have them around so that they're in the way so they can't be charged easily. I think that'd be like a wall of cultists. I think that might be a good strategy as well. And if you deploy him and he's like within 9 of an edge, then no enemy unit can go behind him.
Exactly.
So that's nice. So you have some space there. So it would have to be deployed in front of you if it was from the teleportarium.
Yeah, depending on how it goes, I could see myself definitely creating kind of a little bit of a castle in the corner with the Preds.
Yeah.
And the Preds far back, so nothing can get in behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And then having the Defiler kind of in front of them a bit.
Yeah.
And then potentially even the Cultists in front of that Defiler. And pushing out from there, so at least no turn 1 deep strike close to everything shenanigans going to happen. And if they do it close to Cultists, who were there to die?
Exactly, yeah. So they're serving their purpose. Speaking of the Cultists, we have 3 units. They're 10-man units. We got 1, 2, 3. And no upgrades.
Because you don't need them.
They're good the way they are. And they are just extra bodies on the battlefield for you to plot them on objectives, protect your units that you want to be protected, put them out in the open so that they're kind of bait, and they're there to die. They're
there to help push back people kind of trying to come in from reserves via the teleportarium or whatever it might be. In this list, too, because it is Battleforged Chaos Space Marines, they do hold objectives. They've got the old objectives secured because they're troop choices.
Yep.
So they are something that the enemy might have to potentially deal with. Like you can't let them run around and do whatever they want, even though they're not that scary.
Because they can possibly win you the game if you ignore them. So they can't be ignored. The enemy has to deal with them at some point. It's just not as much fun. It's not as satisfying killing these guys because they're just wound sinks.
Well, and sometimes it hurts to turn your guns toward these guys to kill these guys as opposed to other things in the list. Just because, they're 4 points a model. They don't do that much damage.
And they can't hurt you, so the threat level isn't high. So if you had to choose between killing this, eliminating this threat, or eliminating the threat of the Terminator, say, right behind them.
Yep.
You know, and then but here's the thing, right? Let's say they are on an objective, they're actually doing something in the game. The Terminators are just there, and they're kind of an imminent threat, not a direct, right now in your face threat that affects the game.
With my playstyle too, the way I've been trying to play the Night Lords and some of the other lists, I like to do the reserves coming from. I keep calling it Deep Strike because it's the generic term, I guess, for what you can do, and nothing hurts more than you shoot up a cultist squad, and so you can get close enough to Deep Strike to the big scary thing, and there's one or two of them left.
Yep.
And it is just so annoying.
It is, especially with the option of the Tide of Traders stratagem, where you can spend 2 command points and you can bring them back to full, and you can place them on the battlefield.
Yeah, you get to place them on the battlefield edge, which is super annoying.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't make full use of the Tide of Traders because it's only 10-man units.
Yeah, if they were 20 man, it would be much better.
Yeah, but we're not going to build a list around just that concept, or at least not yet anyways.
No. But again, it could possibly add some dynamic to the game and maybe even help you win it, because let's say you do have a 20 man.
Well, the more flexibility you have in responding to what the enemy's bringing to the table, the better off you are.
And the fact that you can move them,
Yep.
that's a big deal. Just a thought on this before I forget. In terms of command points, Abaddon, he actually gives you 2 extra command points because he is Abaddon, and that's what he gives you in the new codex. Before it wasn't anything, but now it's 2. So that's a total of 8 command points in the entire list. Battalion plus Battleforge plus Abaddon. Elite choice, we have Terminators. What you see is what you get on these guys. We have the Lightning Claw pair on the champion, and then we have Combi Bolters on the rest of the Terminators. And then we got a Chain Fist, a Power Axe, Power Fist, and a Maul. Got a Power Maul there. And they are well-rounded, close combat, beefy guys that you're able to just use in Deep Strike and place them wherever you want after the fact.
Yeah, their job is to show up with Abaddon. They're there to provide the screen so Abaddon doesn't get shot up immediately.
Yeah. So here, let's do this, just for fun. Let's put Abaddon there, because he's going to come in with them, because that's your meat shield.
Yep. And I mean, it's a pretty beefy meat shield with the 2 wounds apiece.
Yeah.
The shooting is not really bad either. I mean, combi bolters aren't the most amazing thing in the world, but that's 4 shots at rapid fire range. When you show up, you should be in rapid fire range because you get to show up slightly more than 9 inches away.
Yep.
And it is a bunch of firepower. And again, I mean, you look at something like Veterans. You use the single command point for Veterans of the Long War.
That stratagem, yeah.
And all of a sudden, those bolters are wounding on +1.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting at, you're shooting at other Marines, you're wounding on 3s. You're shooting at most vehicles, you go from wounding on 5s to wounding on 4s instead.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
They're not a terrible squad. I mean, they're mostly there just to keep Abaddon alive until he gets into combat and starts murdering everything.
Now here's another thing to consider. Because Abaddon is a character and you can't target him,
Yep.
you could just simply deep strike him somewhere where there's other units closer.
Well, that's the thing, is that you don't have to put him with the Terminators. So
Right.
The idea is I can see myself probably wanting to.
Technically, you're not putting him with the Terminators because they're not one unit.
Right.
Yeah. So
When I say put with, I mean like put close by.
Yeah.
Like in the same sort of area.
Yeah. So instead of them being your meat shield, you can have one of the cultist units be his meat shield. Totally. And then even just start him on board. Now, they can't deep strike with him, so they don't have that advantage.
No. Do you think you would start him on the board? He doesn't move fast. That's my issue with him. He's got a 5-inch movement?
No, I definitely deep strike him in. But here's the thing, too. With the Tide of Traders, you can move your cultists if you need to. And at that point, move Abaddon.
And then deep strike him in?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that could be fun. Kind of funny.
Yeah, so that you have options there, which is kind of neat. But it is 2 command points for the Tide of Traders, and you got to think, like, do you want to spend 2 to do that?
We didn't spam command points in this like we potentially could in some lists. I mean, 8's not bad, but it's not like it's some of the big crazy 15 command point lists that you see out there.
And this is by no means the strongest possible tweaked list that we could possibly create. It's an all-comers list. It's a fun list. You bring this because it's like, hey, this is what I can bring in the army. This is what I want to try out.
Right. This is not a maximized list, and that's not the purpose of this. It's kind of a fun play against your buddy sort of list.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like what models should I add to my army? Add some rhinos so that your chosen could have more mobility.
Yep.
Or add some cultists so that they could be meat shields for your Terminators or Abaddon. Or add some Terminators so that they can deep strike in and give you options.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's how I view this list, and I like it because of its variety. You have a little bit from each choice, and it doesn't feel spammy. Because I'm not a fan of spammy lists. That takes away the fun for me.
Yeah, when you get to really min-maxing lists, that
you're just numbers. It's like the models don't matter.
It ruins some of the immersion for me. Depending
for sure.
It depends on what army that they're doing it with, though, too.
It's like, okay, and we were talking about this earlier. We were
Yeah.
talking about the possibility of just making a psyker list, and I have like 20 psykers here. And
yeah, 20 sorcerers.
So yeah, sorcerers. Yeah, and then we could. I mean, that's our list, right? And that's a whole army of smite, which would be ridiculous.
Yeah, because we talked about the potential of doing 2 Supreme Command detachments, so that's 10 of them in there.
Yeah.
And then you bring another battalion detachment, so there's another 3. So that's 13 if you want.
Yep. That's 13. Yeah, so again, it takes away... To me, it's like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. You're just trying to spam stuff, and, spam isn't as good as awesome sauce. So that's why I'm not a fan of it. Chosen! So here's a question. Why? Actually, I'm going to ask that to the universe. Why the Meltas? Why not a different weapon? It's not. Don't say it's because I don't have the other weapons. Because originally it was going to be flamers.
I suppose that will bite my tongue.
So that
we're
actually
talking about plasmas, maybe.
We were. But why not plasmas? Why Meltas?
Because you had like 3 of them.
Actually, no. I have 8.
Do you have 8?
I have 8, yeah.
Do you know what's not enough? 8. You need 10.
What's not enough? We can put a different weapon.
No.
On the
That's
champion.
blasphemy.
No.
Somebody will comment at this point in the video and say that no. 5 of the same weapon.
It is 5, yes. You are correct. I was testing you.
But, I mean, I'm saying you could bring another one, but you should bring 5 of the same weapon.
I think I might actually have 10. I think it might work. But anyway, at least 1 squad of 5. Plasma. Not the Meltas that you see. But we can do the Melta, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, for the points for this, we treated them as if they're actually Meltas when we built the list.
A wee?
A wee? I don't know, though. What's your take on it? Are Meltas what they used to be? Is it the same role?
No, they're definitely not what they used to be. They're not as
because they're not as good at the drive-by anymore.
No, that was brutal. They're still powerful, but they're not what they used to be.
Right.
So they were
you know what? If they were cheaper in points, I could see me bringing Meltas more often. I usually like to bring Plasma.
Like 15 points instead of 17?
13 points.
Well, it's the same as a Plasma. It's the exact same.
I know.
But they're saying that they're better than Plasma.
They're not. They're just not, though.
You just don't think so? Should it be flipped? You think it should be the other way around?
I think they should be both worth 13 points.
I think 15.
Oh, it's okay to be wrong.
Well, you're definitely wrong when you say that it's 13 because it's not. It's 17. But
now
mine's more reasonable. See, in negotiation, there wouldn't be a negotiation back. It would just be we accept it or we decline it. Yours, they would negotiate.
That's how I negotiate. I just tell you how it is.
Well, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah, sure it does.
It didn't work this time.
I think it might.
Are you saying because I have the power to change the number of the points of the Melta?
Well, sure.
That's what you're saying. That's what you're inferring by saying that. Which I'm okay with.
And I'm just saying, if you had the power, then you should.
No, it's not if
way.
I do, because you just said I do.
Sure. Done.
So we got 2 units.
Yeah. Again, I like my redundancy. It's how I usually run my Night Lords with
your spam. What?
How's it? 2 units is not spam.
Well, it could have been any other elite choice. Why another one of those instead of something else?
Redundancy is good. There's a difference between redundancy and spam.
But it says the netlister.
I wish.
You wish you're a netlister?
Mm-hmm.
I think out of everyone here, you're the most netlisty.
You think? No.
Who's more?
Luca and Cullen. Quirk.
Gluka?
Yes. Luca's a bad person.
I don't think Quirk is a netlister. I think he tries to be, but I think you are the netlister. He's like becoming a netlister. You were born a netlister.
I was born one?
It's not a bad thing.
I can't help it.
It's not a bad thing. It just is what it is.
No. Again, redundancy, I think you should bring... Well, you can tell this is one of my lists that I, came up with.
This one?
Well,
This
yeah.
all-comers list? You
Yeah.
can't tell that it's yours. If it was your true list, if you had
Well, if you... Okay, so if you look...
unrained... If you could totally make a list from
If you
scratch...
look at a Josh-style build, the way I like to play is I like to have 2 redundant chosen squads. I mean, they do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the 2 predators. Now, I don't have enough predators to do it, but again, duplicate choices, I always try to.
Mm-hmm.
And then some cheap, spammy troops to get in the way. And again, multiples of them that don't have anything special, they're there to die and get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
This is the core of how I like to build my lists, usually.
Well, it looks like a good all-comers list that'd be fun to play or play against. I don't think that this is necessarily a list where when you look at it, it's like, okay, well,
It's not too over the top.
Yeah, you would be like, okay, there's certain threats there. There are things that I need to watch out for, and there isn't any one obvious. Okay, I definitely need to kill that unit or that Death Star.
And that's what I try to go for. Is I don't make it too obvious of you got to kill this one thing.
You definitely go more shooty than close combat, though. There's a whole lot of close combat lacking in this list.
You really think so?
Yeah.
You've got no. You've got the Defiler. It's good in close combat.
Uh-huh.
You've got Abaddon and Terminators, which are amazing in close combat.
Okay,
Abaddon
I'm going to
especially.
quote you on that. One that says Abaddon constantly. You just said he's amazing in close combat.
Yes, he's still a failure. That's more from the lore perspective. He's a big failure. The model's powerful.
More.
Chosen are good in close combat.
They're not good in close
What
combat.
do you mean they're not good in close combat?
They're okay in close combat.
They're 2 attacks each.
Compare it to a Berserker.
But Berserkers are only good in close combat. Chosen are well-rounded.
Berserkers are the best in close combat when it comes to the Chaos Elites.
But here's the point, is that Berserkers just get shot down.
Well, that's why...
Berserkers can't play the shooting game. That's why you bring
no,
Chosen.
it's just shooting. What are you, Tau?
But it's a shooting game, Dave.
It's not all shooting.
But that's the point. But it's not all close combat.
Well, that's the only thing that matters.
So that's why Chosen, I love them.
Okay.
2 attacks, good shooting. They can do whatever you need them to get done.
When I look at this list, I don't think that's a close combat list. I
Well,
think...
it's not a close. It's a well-rounded list.
I think it's like a 70-30. It's more shooty than it's close combat, for sure.
well, because you don't start the game in close combat, so it should be.
Well,
it should be at least a 60-40 for.
You got to
into
start
close
playing
combat.
right. You got to start in close combat.
You can't start in
Yeah,
close
you
combat.
can. Deep strike. Make your roll. You're in close combat.
No, see that's a skew list. That's
not a
a
skew
that's
list.
a one-trick pony. Because if you don't make your charges, then you just die.
Don't you like ponies?
No,
Who doesn't like ponies?
no little horses. It's upsetting.
Why is that upsetting?
I don't know. Why can't it be a full-size horse?
Because he hasn't grown yet.
Well, what good is a pony?
When you say one-trick horse, it doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't sound as good because horses have more than one trick, I guess.
Heldrick, fast attack. And
Flyer choice now.
It is a flyer choice.
Yeah, so no more of this fast attack business for him.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah, he gets his own unique slot now, which is kind of weird.
He does. It is. And you're absolutely correct. This is the 1 month of absence, which is why my mind is still rusty.
You say absinthe or absence?
Well, definitely not absent. That's,
Okay.
that's something completely different and not relevant in this conversation. But Heldrick, nonetheless. The thing I like about the upgraded Heldrick is that he has close combat abilities now.
He has really good close combat abilities.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He has good close combat abilities. Because I tried it, and in my mind it was better than what it was. So
Okay, yeah, he's not going to go rip apart a unit by himself, but he can go, attack another flyer.
Definitely. And I think that's the key. If he's attacking things that can't really attack him back, then he just kills it. He rips it apart.
Right, he'll go in and he'll maul a vehicle just for
Yeah,
fun. That's
yeah.
what he's good at doing right now, and especially, like I said, against other models with the fly keyword.
He can kill
That could be-
rhinos and, land speeders. Like, he can do things like that,
Right.
where they just suck in close combat.
That 30-inch move gets him to where he needs to be and then charges something, yeah.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And the Bale Flamer went down in points.
Yep.
Not 60, it's 30 points now. So that is a big deal.
A really substantial drop in points, yeah.
Yeah. So what is he? He's like, he's wanting 168 points for him, and very versatile. Now, where would you think would be a good place to start him on the battlefield?
Again, I mean, like, it kind of depends on how the enemy is going to be setting up.
Let's say it's a comparable list. Let's say you're fighting a Space Marines list that's like an all-comers like this. There isn't any one thing that's overly obvious. Like the mirror image of this, only it's Space Marines. You know, where do you think you'd want to go? Avat Agliuth Sink.
Like, I do my best to deploy in such a way I can just counter-deploy them against whatever I want to rip apart, but otherwise I think I would just keep them centerboard.
Right in the center?
Yep. Part way up, and that way he can kind of get to wherever he needs to be within 2 turns.
Yeah. He's good at killing units of guys.
Yeah, I mean, the Baleflamer is, what, 2 damage each?
Yeah, it's good. Strength 6, -2, and then 2 damage automatically hits the target.
So yeah, they can go in and burn some Space Marines or start to put the hurt on some Terminator or something like that.
It's 18-inch range as well.
Yep.
So that kind of mimics the old Torrent.
Correct. Yeah, you see most of the weapons that were Torrent weapons now have extended range over regular Flamers, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're going to be doing some damage there, which is nice. There is a stratagem that he could use, and that's Demon Forge, which is kind of neat, but it's not 100% useful for him, because with the Demon Forge, it costs 1 command point, and you can reroll fail to hit into wound rolls with it for him. But his Baleflamer auto hits.
Yeah, so maybe if you really need to wound something, but no, probably not worth it. You could use the stratagem in close combat, though.
You could. That affects his hitting.
His close combat, it's not bad, but it's nothing spectacular either. Like, it could be handy, but I wouldn't really be trying for it.
So he hits on 3s when he's at full wounds. He's got 4 attacks, right?
Right.
He's strength what?
Strength 7.
Strength 7. It's minus AP1, and then it's D3.
D3 damage.
Yeah, so it's very good for he being a vehicle.
Right.
So that's good, and attacking other flyers.
He gets +1 to hit against other flyers.
Yeah, so you're, I guess at that point, be hitting on 2s, right? Rerolling.
Well, yeah, and then also that Death to the False Emperor, if it's an Imperial vehicle, kicks off on a 5 or 6.
Yeah.
After modifications.
On
obviously.
a 6.
Well, normally it happens on a 6.
Oh, yeah, but
gets
Black
+1
Legion.
to hit.
Yeah, but Black Legion. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Like with a +1 to hit, then a roll of 5 counts as a 6. So again, something that flies.
That's against the flyers, but if it's not the flyers, then just on a 6. And I think that's really, he's kind of an all-around. He's all around good. He's not great in any one area.
He's a mobility kind of guy, you know what I mean? He's decently tough. He's got an okay amount of wounds. He heals a wound every single turn.
He does, yeah. And he's going to be doing something every turn, which will add up to a lot over the course of the game, which I think. I don't think there's any one thing that he can just, that'll go in and he'll destroy it. I don't think it's ever a case like that.
Well, again,
he'll weaken it.
Yeah, you want to be able to threaten everything. So the fact that, he can jump up there, your Terminators can deep strike in, your Chosen will move up in Rhinos. The Predators have range. It's just another target that they're going to have to deal with immediately.
And that's 2,000 points of Battalion Detachment led by Abaddon the Despoiler for a total of 8 command points. This is a battle-forged army. We're going to be going over another list that we created. That'll be a video in the MiniWarGaming Vault, so click on the link below to watch that and to participate in the discussion for the next list that we'll be picking apart and seeing the strengths and the weaknesses of. Thank you very much. Happy wargaming!